Welcome to Tour Buds Live, where we talk about music, obviously traveling, but we really meet with some of the greatest minds and talents in music. This week, I do have my best compadre and co-host, Derek Garabedian. What's up, buddy?
I'm back. Glad to be back. Sorry to
You-
miss Frank. It looked like an amazing time.
Frank is awesome, man. Frank is a great human. I think he's so insightful. What did you think of that interview? Do you think I did okay?
I think you did unbelievable.
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the fucking park, and people are gonna start chiming in to get me off the show.
No. Actually, Jay, Jay St. Angelo, we are interviewing him very shortly. He is the bass player of Tired Radio. He actually reached out to me and said that I suck without you. So I was like, yeah, you're right, dude. No, he didn't. He was like, he's like, it's better with Derek. I'm like, it is. It's so true. And I really missed you, but I'm glad you're back today. I need you in my life always. Don't ever leave me again.
Okay, I'll try my best.
All right. Well, today we're about to bring Jay on at Tired Radio. If you don't know Tired Radio, now you do. Tired Radio is insane. Their energy is perfect. What do you have to say about Tired Radio? Because I don't even have the words.
They're just in general super fun to watch play.
Yeah.
Great songs, tons of energy, like you said. One of my favorite bands to see play.
Yeah. And we got to interview them on our show coming up next year, Tour Buds, the non-live version. And with no further ado, let's bring on Jay St. Angelo. Hi, Jay.
Hey, what's up, guys? Way to put me on blast with that. No, I said you guys have such good chemistry, and Derek has this calming energy that really compliments you. So.
You suck with that.
You did great, and you looked amazing. You're just so beautiful, and you have a smile that lights up the room. And thank you for inviting me here today.
Dude, that's more than I could ever. I don't think I deserve these words, but I love them. Like, I'm not gonna be like false humble and say I don't like it. I love it. Like, I love. I like a nice word.
He lives on a good phrase.
Yeah, I do. Thank you for this is so cool that we get to talk to you because when we were starting this whole idea of a show, like Derek and I wanted to do some kind of show, and you guys were the first band that said yes. And we did this whole long episode, completely different format that's coming out now. And it was like this cool 2-hour interview with performance, and you guys, it was like so gracious of you, and then it just never came out because we couldn't get our shit together. And then we did this show. We got a production company. Shout out to Mill Iron Studios Productions, Mill Iron, and then we did this show, and then now it's like we're trying to build some steam for when we release it, and you guys did another freaking episode for us, so. Yep. That's insane, and I feel like it was just I don't want to say better, but it was just very different. Definitely. And thank you.
Tired Radio is, and the boys.
Yeah, no, it was a blast, and me and you, Andy, we go back a while, so it's just anything you guys do, we want to support, and you guys have been so supportive with us. So it was a blast, man. Even that first one was so fun. We got to play at a giant venue, which was a blast. And you guys always just have great questions. You can really tell that all the music that you listen to really resonates with you. So yeah, we love having you guys around, man. You're part of the Tired Radio family for sure.
And now you guys are saying you're kind of from Philly now. Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, our singer Tony, our songwriter, moved to Philly. He had been in New York forever, and the rents are just insane here. So I think he needed a change of pace. I am warming up to Philly. I always had a gripe with Philly, just as a sports fan. Yes. One time I went and a lady threw a beer bottle in my face during a Rangers game. but I am warming up to Philly, even though it's there's a big lack of bodegas, which if you're from New York, you know are essential. And they've got a great scene out there, man. Everybody's just been so cool to us out there. There's this venue called Ortlieb's that we play at all the time, and it's always a packed room, and the bands are great. So yeah, it's really fun. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I could ever say I'm from Philly.
No.
I'm just such a New Yorker through and through, and I'll never leave here. But it's great. We go out there like once a month to practice. Tony's got a cool studio out there, and it's only 2 hours away from New York, which is my favorite thing about Philly. Actually, is that it's only 2 hours away from New York. But they've been super awesome to us. So
Yeah.
I always like going down there for sure. Yeah.
Philly does have, I will say, because they're my, being from New York, they are my nemesis as well in sports. However, great scene in music. So shout out to Philly for music. Thank you for always coming out and support Tired Radio. Always Philly, okay? Now they're saying that Philly, you support. You know what's cool though about Tired Radio? I love that, like, because you and I played together in projects, obviously, and then we would play shows for no one, maybe the other band's girlfriends. And it's cool that like the dream is always to develop people that you don't know liking your music. And you guys have that. Like you guys have a following and it's incredible. I'm so proud of you guys. It's so like how does that feel coming from maybe and you and I are both from the Long Island music scene. I'm sure that helped shape, a little toughness and it's crazy the era that we grew up in.
Yeah.
And how is that different now that you have fans?
It is awesome because I mean it's like you and I like we know that grind, man, of playing for like 15 years to rooms of like 10 people. So it's really it's kind of surreal to have just like random people like really love this band, like to have it be the favorite band of like somebody that is a total stranger to you. Um, and it feels validating on a personal level just because nobody really sees the sacrifice and the hard work that you do leading up to it. So it feels like it's like, oh, finally, this is great, man. People have just really related to it, and it's like every week Tony gets like some message from somebody that's like, hey man, like this song like saved my life, or like this song like really pulled me out of something dark when I needed it to. And it's like to have that for our music is like insane, man. Cause it's like I was that kid like messaging the bands that I liked on MySpace, like, hey man, like this really had such a profound effect on me positively. Like, thank you for writing this. Hot Rod Circuit being one of those bands that I was just that I felt that way toward, and message them once. So it really is like surreal. And it's cool. It's cool. Yeah. Tony said something to me once when we played the show in Atlanta a few years ago. And Tony said this thing to me once when we were smoking a cigarette outside. And he's just like, yeah, man, like everybody's hurting. And I was like, that's the perfect way to put it. Everybody is hurting. And it's like this music kind of helps them. So yeah, it's amazing having people like into it. It's cool. It's been a lot of fun.
I think it's cool because it's not just the music at that point. It's actually meaningful. Like there's depth to the lyrics
affecting lives.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
That's great.
Yeah, it's got to be intense. I think you're also saying the lyrics with him. Does that affect you? Like you have to know all of his lyrics. Like for me as the drummer, I never pay attention to the lyrics, dude. Like you're also singing with Tony. So like how does that affect you?
That's a great question because we have a lot of like weird cosmic sort of coincidences with this band. And one of them is really Tony, like the way I've related to Tony's lyrics and the times that has like kind of popped up. So it's like, we were in the studio 2 years ago, writing and recording these songs that we're about to put out later next year. And you know, we'd be working on a song that he would show us, and there'd be maybe like a line in that song that was like really relevant to something personally I was going through at that time. And it just clicked with me. It just clicked with me. And I could take that emotion and really kind of make it more powerful because I'm singing his song, but it's coming from my heart too. There's a song, the working title's been called Name. And that one specifically, I was kind of going through something mentally. And he has like one or two lines in there that like really, really sync up. And you know, I would scream out these you know, background vocals, and you can hear it in the record. You can really hear it. I was in the vocal booth screaming them out, and I mean, I was getting teary eyed, and to be able to kind of
What are the lyrics?
what is it? Is it does it make you shake, I think. And yeah, man, it's
Where did it bring you exactly?
it just reminded me of a place I was in my life, where emotions were really heightened. You know, Tony and I are both clinically bipolar, and I think when with that comes with is a lot of amplified feelings, and that brought me back to something where things just felt raw and intense, and yeah, it kind of triggered something in me, and that's happened with a lot of his stuff when we were writing it, especially the closer on our next record. It's just this huge emotional song, and to really kind of, you know, it feels like they're my lyrics because they're coming from my heart too, and I'm so appreciative that he writes this way, and I'm so appreciative that like he'll let me add background parts or harmonies wherever I want, and I feel like a lot of my picking and choosing comes from, okay, like where can I really double down on the heart in this part? And yeah, that's a great question, man, because I don't really like singing. I'm kind of getting into it more now. I know Tony wants me to sing more, so I'm definitely starting to. But yeah, man, it's cool. It really is like a whole different vibe, you know,
Yeah,
from
it adds
everything else I've ever sang.
it adds like like a completely different vibe and another layer, especially live.
Yeah, I think that's why I like watching you guys live, because it's clear that everybody feels every word and every note of every song you're playing. Like, and it comes
That's
off.
awesome.
It comes off to the whole crowd, like whether people know you or not. Within the first 30 seconds of the first song, everybody's like, "What the fuck's going on over here?" These guys
That's
are like,
awesome.
"We're in." Like, everybody just buys in. Every time I've seen you, everybody just buys in right away.
100%.
And
That's so cool, man.
That's what makes it so fun. I mean, that's like my favorite thing. I always say, like, music is one of the only things that could change everybody's emotion to essentially the same thing at the same time. And
Yeah, man. Thank you for that too, man. That means a lot. You know, it's cool. I've really had to kind of approach it as singing backing vocals as if I was a lead singer. And what I mean by that is really kind of enunciate, really project, and really feel it on my face. You know, I feel like the worst thing a backup singer can do is just to kind of look like they don't want to be there, look kind of bored, or look kind of uncomfortable. And I really try to connect with the crowd. So like I'll make eye contact, I'll scream a little grittier. And I also we placed a couple songs a half step down, because I can just hit it better. And ever since we did that, I think our harmonies have really been on. I think of that. Do you remember that live Blink 182 album? the Mark, Tom, and Travis show. Came out in like 2002, I think. And the harmonies on that record live were really encapsulated all that. And they would do these harmonies that weren't originally on the record. And that's kind of been my biggest influence, you know, because when we play live, we throw harmonies in that aren't there on the record, or, you know, different fills that aren't originally there. So, yeah, I think you're right, Derek. I feel like those backing vocals have kind of been a little more in the forefront, especially the last year.
Do you think
so? Yeah,
you'll want to like take over and like kick him out?
No, never, man. He's just so good. He makes
the best. You know what I love? Like, I don't understand how and I think you do it too. Like that sing scream, that like,
yeah,
I get it, screaming
like and grimy.
Yeah, like that's hard.
Yeah,
that's really hard.
That's that really. It's that that org core, or you know, that Florida Gainesville sound that all those bands have, that real gritty kind of delivery. And you know, I'm able to project pretty well, but I always kind of felt like if I don't have that grittiness, it just sounds too weak. Which is probably me in my own head. But yeah, that's been something I've had to develop, man. That's been something I've developed since the start of this band, was kind of finding the right tone to sing in, and the right amount of grittiness to kind of to give it. So yeah, that's all part of it too, for sure.
Can you teach me how to do it right now?
Like that? How's that?
How was that?
Deep.
That was perfect, actually. And it made me feel a little something. I liked it a lot. Yeah.
I'm gonna come on stage with you guys.
I would actually love that. I would love that so much. Yeah, you know, we love when people jump on stage and sing along. So please come up one time and just go, and we'll party.
Yes. I like that song where it's what is that one? And I mostly listen to the drums because Kevin's a beast. By the way, Kevin is one of my favorite drummers. Like, no joke.
Kevin's like one of my favorite people. That's what's so cool, is like such a talented drummer who's also such a great guy. Well, you're the same way, Andy. But I mean, as far as that, you're the only two drummers I know that are equally awesome people.
That's high praise. Thank you. Kevin's a jam.
Coming from the bassist, you got to have a couple good drummer friends.
Yeah, you both are bassist.
My two best friends are drummers.
That's so fun. Kevin and I actually have the same birthday, and that was the first time I met anybody who's shared my birthday. He's great, man. I know when we did that first interview, he had that, like, you had a great question about how Kev uses his floor tom almost in a way you would use a double bass drum. And he's just got so many cool things like that, man. He's a jazz dude, you know. He went to Temple in Philly for jazz. And it's made me a better bass player for sure. I don't even know if he realizes that, but he's great. He's so creative.
Yeah. What is it like? I mean, obviously you guys get along, which is incredible. Like, that's step one, get along, right? Music. Okay. Now you're playing shows, you're on the road. Does it get dicey sometimes though? You're in a van, smelly, tired, not 21.
Sure. I mean, you know, that's with anybody. I mean, I'm like that with my wife too. If we're together for, you know, we both work from home, so we're together all the time, and it's like, you don't get into your space. You know, you can get a little crazy, but the thing about this band is I think our personalities really vibe really well. We're all very different. And being on the road, it's like, you know, Kevin is like a real boisterous dude. He loves to have fun, and he's got a loud voice. Whereas like, I'm like a dude that like, I enjoy the quiet, and if I go to bed earlier, I just kind of, I like, you know, it's so you just have like different ways that you are, but you kind of get used to everybody's little, idiosyncrasies, and I think we get along really well on the road. I think if anything, I'm probably the curmudgeon. You know, that's a thing too. It's like dealing with mental health on the road is a lot. And I work remotely, so I'll work on the road. So that'll make me just grumpy, so so I try to keep it in check. I try to be aware of it, but for the most part I think we're all like, we've got a good vibe. There's no like blowouts or uh, resentment, and I think we're really good as a band of making sure there's no resentments with each other, and just kind of adapting.
Have you guys ever had a blow up fight though? And who was it? Who was it? Who started it?
No, I don't think we ever have, knock on wood. No, everything's always been.
Because he's so gentle.
Who's that? What?
Yes.
Chris, yeah, no, Chris is Chris is very quiet on the road. We call him Baby Gramps because he's 12 years younger than us, but he's always the first to fall asleep. The dude is like, we were playing in Philly like 2 weeks ago, and Tone was doing an acoustic song, and I looked over, and he just like kind of had his eyes closed, and he was leaning against the amp, and I'm mouthing to Kevin, I'm like, is he sleeping? What's going on? Yeah, no, Baby Gramps is great on the road, man. And I feel like we kind of brought him out of this sheltered Long Island existence. So like we brought him to Canada for his first time in Canada. We brought him to Germany for his first time abroad. So he's always just down for anything, which is great. I think that really captures the other guys well, is they're always just down for anything. So it's a great mindset to have on the road.
What is the craziest moment on tour that you were like, I don't know if I could share this, but you're going to share it now on the show?
The craziest moment. To be honest, it's pretty low key. I'm working, during the day. I'm always
You work with the van moving?
Oh, 100%, man. 100%. And yeah, I got like a little desk set up that goes around the chair in front of me, and I've got it tethered to my phone, and I have an extra Wi-Fi hotspot just in case.
Right. That shirt is ridiculous. I love it. Can we see,
yeah, man.
Can we see the Buckies? Can you show the
the Buckies? Yeah, when you get a few New York boys in a Buckies, we get very excited because you guys know we don't have them up here. So last time we went, I think we walked out with like a ton of merch. Like Kev had like four or five different things for his daughter that all had Bucky on it. Yeah, man, it's a lifestyle. Yeah, for sure.
I know you guys are pursuing this full time and you guys are doing amazing things, but are there moments where, I mean, two things, like I'm sure there's moments of discouragement. You're only on the up and up, but it's hard. It's a fucking hard world that we're in.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
And then is it also a bit of an escape for you just from the monotony of life?
For sure. And you do have those moments where you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? And I think when we're on the road, I remember there was one particular show where like nobody came, and it was just like a Sunday night, and I was just in a crummy mood. And I was just like, well, what am I doing? And I think that goes for all of us as musicians, man, because it is a mixed bag out here. I don't care if you're, the Menzingers or if you're a small local band. Like every local band, every show, every tour is a mixed bag. And I feel like once you come to grips with that, you're gonna maybe have, some existential crisis moments.
Yeah, is it hard to like kind of I don't know if I've had this in music, but sometimes like that identity, what is it, where you like feel like you don't belong, or like who's gonna give a shit about me, like we're just this band. There's a million bands. Like how do you keep the negative self-talk out of your head? Because it's easy to do in a band. It's hard to fucking do it.
Yeah. There's just like this thing inside of us, where it's like, yeah, I have to do this, man. I don't know why, but I have to. You just gotta go fucking play. And I don't know why. I feel like I'm kind of stuck in it, in the best way. But I mean, like, it's such a part of me, going out and playing shows and, doing a 4-hour practice, or, I was in a band where I would travel 4 hours each way for practice, and I don't know why I do it. You just feel like you have to, because it's you. So yeah, man, I don't know what your question was. I forgot. I'm sorry. I got wrapped up in my own.
I have another just something else I just thought about. You know what's interesting about you and Derek Garabedian over here?
Mhm.
Just look at his beard. It's so beautiful. But
It's beautiful, man.
there's an observation I just had that you both are in really happy, long-standing relationships. You're married, and you also play the bass with your fingers. Is there a correlation between the happiness and that skill that you've developed?
No, I've got like weird, creepy long fingers. Like in high school, my friends would call me salad fingers. So I just feel like I got to put those bad boys to work on the bass, man.
On the bass,
Yeah,
Nub.
on the bass. Yeah, yeah,
No
consensual bass work. So
yeah, there's no correlation between your bass skills and your happiness in your relationship.
Not so much, no. But I will say, if you guys have seen us play in the last year, I wear this black sort of brace on my hand because now that I'm old, in the last 2 years, I've developed carpal tunnel syndrome. So if I don't
working on the computer all the time, that's not
all
good.
the time. So I really was primarily a finger style player, which I love. You just feel the instrument differently. And when I write a bass line at home for Tired Radio, I write it finger style,
Yeah.
just because you approach the instrument differently. But yeah, I haven't been able to play fingerstyle as much the last like year, which sucks. Like, because I really have to work on changing my whole technique because if my wrist is,
all
it just doesn't. Yeah, we were in, we were on tour and we were in South Carolina, and 2 songs in, my hands went numb, and I was like, fuck. So now if I don't use this brace, my hands are numb the entire set, which sucks. But thankfully there's some sort of workaround. But yeah, man, it's tough getting old. Tough getting old.
Yeah,
it's
man.
not. Yeah, it's how is that? Like, we're the same age. I can't imagine being on tour right now.
I know, and that was the thing too. Was when we started this band. This is like Tony. Tony has been doing so much musical stuff, mostly on his own for like the last 15 years, ever since I knew him. But this is like his first like real band, and when we were like headed off for our first tour, he's a lifer, man. He's just got that vibe, but he's like, yeah, we're gonna sleep on floors and meet people and to crash at their place. And I'm like, that sounds like a fucking nightmare, dude. Like, I'm a few years away from 40. Like, I'm not looking to sleep on someone's floor. I gotta wake up at 8 to sign on for work. But we still get a night like that here or there, like on tour. And it's always a good vibe, and people put us up that we're friends with, that it's a very comfortable situation. But yeah, man, when you're this old, it's like you just want to come back to the room if you got a hotel. There's a branch of hotels that we love. It's called Home to Suites. It's like an offshoot of the Marriott chain. And when we tour, we always look for Home to Suites, because every location looks exactly the same. Like, you feel like you're at home.
It's like
each night. Yeah, man. And this is a tip too. If anybody's in a band and you're touring, get someone in your band to work at a hotel chain, whether it's just a day out of the week washing dishes, because that's what Chris does. And we pay like $40 a room per night. That's $10 a man. So we can fund a whole tour.
Wow.
And stay in a hotel.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, hopefully, we have that for a few more years. We'll see. He's getting older.
Go ahead, Derek.
I was saying, when we saw you last time, which was what, like a month and a half ago or so, at Autodidact, you guys were leaving for Fest. Like the next day or a couple days. How was that journey? What was different this time from the last you've done? This is your third one?
Our second Fest. Yeah.
So what was the the journey, and then the differences?
Well, I'd say this time, usually whenever we go down to Florida, we'll book like a whole little DIY tour of shows on the way down. This time it was kind of a straight shot all the way down. We had a show in Georgia at like a house party. I think the day before, I think it was the day before. So I'm really big on like getting the reps in, like wherever we can play, as long as we can play to just get more of that muscle memory in. That's always going to benefit you for whatever show or festival you're headed towards. But that was probably the big difference this time was just playing one show beforehand, and also just like having people be psyched for it. We played our first fest set 2 years ago, and it was our first time down at Fest, and we were just so stoked because it's like Fest is its own thing, man. And you guys got to get down there next year. It's just such a blast. There's so much love. There's so much networking. So many great bands. And the first fest that we did was probably the best night of our lives. It was just a full room of people who knew the lyrics to every song, who were going nuts. And it was great. And I think the difference this year was people kind of knew what to expect with Tired Radio. And we got maybe a little more clout in the past year. So it was at capacity, dude. Like, and we didn't even know this till afterwards, but there was a line of 40 or 50 people outside that couldn't get in, that all wanted to get in to see the band. And it was so real, dude. It was just like, oh my God, like people really love hanging out and seeing us. And what was cool was we have been talking to a label, and the guy who heads up the label was like, yeah, I'm going to come down to that set. Like, I need to see that before we kind of talk further. And the dude couldn't even get in. And I think that's probably the best showing that you can show somebody that is looking to sign a new band. He sent us a video of like him peeping through the window outside. So I think that was a win for us. So that was the difference. I think we felt more accustomed to Fest this year. We kind of felt more like Fest bros. So yeah, it was fun, man. You guys got to come for sure.
Yeah, I'd love to. Next year, Andy, we'll make that happen.
Yeah, I'm gonna get on you about it. I'll make sure you don't forget.
Please.
Derek and I like to go to places together. We went to a festival in Chicago, Riot Fest.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We took mushrooms, and it was crazy. And it was like I was in an Uber, and it was like hitting me, and it was like at the worst moment, and it was like hot in the middle of summer. And I looked at Derek. I'm like, dude. Okay. And he was like, and then it made him like not okay. Like our energy is kind of like we fucked each other.
That's so funny. It's funny you say that too, because this fest was the first time I ate shrooms, and I don't know. I probably did something wrong because I didn't feel anything. But I don't know.
You're doing a shitload. It's you're not gonna feel it too much.
It's funny though, because I was like, oh man, I wish I was feeling something, and Tony's like, you're having a great time, like you're feeling, and I'm just like, dude, like this is how I felt yesterday. Like, don't gaslight me on my own drug experience. But yeah, it was a blast, man. But maybe next time we'll see how that goes.
Nicky Dude says what's up to you.
What's up, Nicky Dude? Oh man.
More or less, what's up?
Yeah, he says what's up. Yeah, you owe me a little favor, Nicky Dude. Essentially. Why is it that a lot of band people like we gravitate towards gay humor? Like we're very like gay towards each other.
Like handsy, feely kind of.
Exactly. But is it funny?
I think personally, like, well, I think first we're open-minded in the fact that it's like we're not homophobic, right? And it's like nobody feels uncomfortable about that.
We're very open.
Very open. But my theory is, I think when people, and this goes for men and women, non-binary to any individual, when you're around people that you trust, that you love, and maybe it's a longtime friend, somebody that you kind of grew up with or like grew up similarly to you. When you get silly and goofy with your friends, you kind of revert to teenage years. And I think that goes for women too, is they get silly and they do their own thing too. I think there's just something about that comfort and that camaraderie that when you're having fun, you get silly when you're with people you love, and that really stems from your early childhood years. Because I mean, think of like when you were in a band when you were like 15. It was like some of the best with some of your best friends. It's really some of the best years of your life, man. It's just comfort and just like any group of friends, you just want to get together and
it's so close. I think in music we get so fucking close, man. We just want to hold each other.
But I know, yeah.
But seriously, I think people on the outside, like especially the people who are very like I guess homophobic or whatever, they might think that we're all fucking weird or some shit. But it's like unless you've been in a band on tour with a bunch of dudes just shoved in a van like sardines, you're not gonna get it. And like just like when I see anyone I've been on the road with, when I see you, it's like you just pick up right where you left off. It's like you
absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing is like you really do become brothers. And it's like, brothers live that way too, where it's like they're in each other's space and they're not like shy about things. So I totally agree with you there, man. Yeah. And there's something about that emotional connection when you can make a room full of people feel with, one of your buddies. It runs deep, man. It runs deep.
Yeah, it's the best. Do you guys I feel like when we were in Glass Lungs together, shout out to Glass Lungs again. I shouted out last week, but just how so happens to be applicable.
Nice.
But
the streak going.
When we were in Glass Lungs, what was I gonna ask you, dude? I was just like went on well, oh, you know what? When we were in the band together, we had like our muse was like Bill. Shout out to Bill. Like we were kind of rag on him. And like I feel like every band that's going to continue needs that one person who can take it. Every band needs that one person who you kind of play around with, make fun or however you want to call it, in a playful way, not in a malicious way.
Of course.
Do you feel like that's Chris for you guys?
Yeah, man. And I think that goes for any group of friends in any context. Is like you always have the one dude that you just kind of get silly with at their own expense. And we've been lucky that we've had a lot of good sports, right? That like they don't take it personally.
Yeah.
They kind of give it back to definitely Bill. Bill was that type of dude, man. Like, and it's like that personality makes everything else more fun. So it's like anybody that plays that role, you're making it so much more fun for everybody involved. If you can like
for you, but it's so much fun for us.
Well, that's the thing too. Is like you got to find people that like feel comfortable in that role because you don't want to like hurt anybody, but you just kind of want to be like that older brother, younger brother kind of vibe, right? Of like punching them in the shoulder a little bit, punch buggy sort of vibe. Yeah, I think Chris takes that just because he's younger. He was born, I think, in 98 or 99, and the rest of us were born in like 86. So there's like a 12-year gap there. And the thing with him, he's just such a funny dude, like inadvertently. I think Chris makes me laugh more than anybody else on this planet. And it's not necessarily always purposely. He just cracks me up, dude. I wish this kid was my little brother because he'd always keep me laughing. Like, just like little things, man, of like, he's in his 20s, right? So he's still like learning what he's going to do for the rest of his life. And your 20s are hard, man. You couldn't pay me enough to go back through them. And it's just, he's so funny and silly and weird. We're all weird, but it's just fun to kind of rib him a little bit. He's got that there's so much Long Island to him still that it's fun to kind of bring him out and kind of force him into situations that he's not maybe used to yet, and laugh, and we go through a lot of dangerous towns when we're on tour, and there's a lot of sketchy situations, and seeing him in some of those situations is just so funny, man, because he's just such a nice kid and a good guy, and yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun. He does play that role every once in a while, and he does it really well. He's a great sport.
Yeah, you need that. And wait, Derek, did you guys have that in Hell Within? Because some bands don't, and it's just not.
Did we have that in Hell Within? Probably Derek J was the punching bag most of the time. Just because he was the same way, like goofy, just a metal drummer through and through, like, and that was it. Like that's what he was. That's what he will always be, and he will never change. And everybody else at that time was like, Tony had a kid. We're just older, so it was just he was just the target, and he took it. He was, he didn't give a shit, but he was definitely our punching bag.
Yeah, I would like to know one day if Bill actually gave a shit or not.
I wouldn't mind knowing too. I mean, nobody gets it as much as Bill got it. That's certainly not a way we want to, and again, it was good-natured ribbing, but it got really silly at times. And Glass Lungs was the only dynamic where we had it like that dialed in. But Bill was family, man. He really is. I hope he's doing well.
Me too. I saw him at Alex's. We saw him at Alex's. Wedding. That was great. You know what though? I will say, like after he left the band, it really felt different. I mean, it
wasn't the same.
Whenever someone leaves a band, it's always different. But when that personality leaves, there's this void, and it's like the fun is gone. Like there's no, you can't.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, he had a very kind of boyish charm to him, that we missed when he was gone for sure.
Yeah. And to anyone who's thinking about starting a band or you're in a band, if you don't have that in your band, get rid of the pain in the ass in the band. Even if they're great, you need to fill the void with someone who could just take a good ribbing. Am I right? Do you guys feel like that as well? And then if
man,
do it with your fucking friends.
Yeah, or do it with people you're not friends with yet, but that you can see yourself becoming friends with. Being in a band is so hard when you're in it for the long haul, because you come across so many different personalities, man. You guys know that, and being that it's music and a creative outlet, you're surrounded by mental illness, and I say that as a mentally ill person. So there's a lot of situations, arguments, people then aren't able to maybe process their emotions or manage their own reactions. So being adaptable and trying to understand where everybody's coming from, and it's so important to a band. And when you're building a band together, that dynamic, man, is everything. And if you guys don't have it from the start, it's not going to last, or it will, and it'll be miserable. And you'll hate being with everybody, which is, horrible.
Yeah.
I will say Tired Radio is after playing for almost 20 years and being in countless bands, Tired Radio definitely has the best dynamic, the best vibe. Everybody fits really well. Super, super democratic. Tony's awesome with things. We all have a say with things. Yeah, man, we've been together for about 4 years now, almost. And I hope it continues that way, man. It's been good so far. I think we all just kind of fit very well. We're very lucky.
Yeah. Do you think that your experience, you guys are a little older now, you've been in a bunch of bands, like just that dynamic of the experience help the vibe and like that cohesiveness of like expectations wise of other people when you're on the road? Like you kind of learn after you do it for so long, like this guy's going to do this, but like just let him do his thing. Keep to myself in certain situations, when to keep your mouth shut, when to go after somebody.
100%, man. And there's the other side of that too, where it's like you need people that are going to be committed and that know how to work with other people. The great thing about Tired Radio is everybody always comes prepared. If we need to learn something to have known at practice, it's done. There's no joking around in terms of like with the workload and what we need to do. And that's huge, because it's like, how many bands have you been in where it's like there's maybe half of you're pulling the weight of the other people, That's been the main reason I've left other bands, is that other people just don't put in the effort, and the bass player shouldn't be the one putting in the most effort. I mean, nobody even knows what the bass is half the time. So yeah, it's you need people that are going to do the work, man. And when you have that, I think there's a mutual respect, and it only strengthens the bond that you have in that group.
When did you was it until into your later years that you found out you were bipolar?
Yeah, well, I've been I've always been clinically depressed. I the first time I kind of explored mental health was when I was 9 or 10, and I started going to therapy. Kind of been through a few traumatic instances in childhood. And to my mom's credit, she got me into therapy early. And I mean, this is before therapy was like the cool thing. This is 96, 97, 97, I'd say 98, where you would hide it from people. It was super, super embarrassing. And you think you have control over things, but the truth is, as you get older, certain mental illnesses or certain conditions, they manifest in different ways, right? And things change. And I think that's what happened was, my depression was getting more difficult to deal with. I would have more depressive episodes. And then, I had a few instances where I was just kind of out of my mind. I can't say, thank God, that I'm on a spectrum where I have something severe. I think I just kind of qualify being bipolar. I think it's very mild, but it's hereditary. My mother's the same way. I think my grandfather was probably similar, and it's perfect for tired radio, right? I mean, that's our whole our whole vibe is dealing with your mental health, right? Which is so awesome that's like a thing now that's so mainstream. And I think it really helps people that it's so open now. I mean, I remember I feel like it was really sort of becoming a thing in like 2015, where you would see like these depression memes. And it made me feel really good, because it was like, oh, wow, like you can actually laugh about it and cope better. But yeah, taking care of your mental health when you're in a band, or even, just working a full-time job, it's so important, man. I think there's this
makes it like come out, or is it just random? Like,
it's random, man. It's random. I mean, I'll just felt like Fest was amazing. But Sunday I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't meet up with anybody till 5 at night. I just happens, man. The only thing you could really do is like try and identify your triggers, try to identify where your wiring is off, and really work on it, man. I don't know. I feel like the worst kind of person is somebody who knows their problems but doesn't do anything to fix them or attempt to. So it's important, man. Yeah, it just, it is what it is. If it happens in the studio, it's nice because you get a little more emotion and realness and rawness, I think. And I know Tony has had a couple breakdowns while we were in there. But it's funny, man. It's me and Tony are very similar dudes, kind of similar backgrounds, so similar things that we deal with in life. And then you have Chris and Kev, who are just like happy-go-lucky, the best dudes ever. That you've never seen a frown on any of their faces. Yeah. So,
but does one trigger the other?
Well. I'm sorry.
Does one trigger the other? Say if like you are on a downward spiral, does it trigger Tony or vice versa?
I don't think so. That's a great question. I don't think so. And the reason why is I think Tony will say himself too is you're in your own head, man. You're just constantly in your own head. That's been my problem with everything. Is it's like I overthink. I ruminate like crazy. And that can kind of add to it, right? Because it's like you want to figure out why you feel this way. You want to figure out why you maybe have kind of got through it in therapy, but you still feel it, and you need to kind of untangle it. And it's like, why do you feel this way? Well, you want some control over it. So anytime you kind of go into your head and overthink it feels like you're learning something, and through that you're gaining some control over it. I mean, that's what it feels like to me. But maybe that's just a bad way of kind of coping and getting deeper in it. I don't know. You just kind of do what you can do, you know?
We're such like relational creatures. We need each other.
Oh yeah.
Does it help being with people?
Yeah, man, for sure, for sure. Especially like when you said you kind of got the silliness that you get with your friends. It's like when you let like, when you're in that position, if you have good friends, they kind of let their egos down a little bit, and they'll kind of try to lift you up, and just, by even being silly or something. Yeah, support is always good, dude, regardless of the context and what you're going through. I think just having people that care, um, is
So
just such a
after tour, then it must be tough. That's probably when it hits. I mean, for me, I've never been diagnosed with. I've been diagnosed with clinical depression, but not like anything else. But I've felt that like after a tour, you ride high, even if you have low moments on tour, the whole experience is just surreal. You can't even explain it. And then when
yeah,
you're home,
Come down
you
is a real thing after a tour.
what'd you say, Derek?
I said the come down is like a real thing after a tour. Like you get
for
out,
sure.
you're like
Yeah, and
out of
I think that. God, I'm sorry, Derek.
no, just to get you out of your routine, and you're kind of just like, what the fuck am I gonna do today? I don't have to drive anywhere. I don't have to load in. I don't have to set shit up. I don't have to play. What am I doing?
Yeah, and I think that like you were saying, that come down from tour happens to everybody, regardless of your mental health status. That's a real thing. It's just that like, damn, I wish I was still on the road, or just you need that grace period of kind of getting back into the swing of normal life.
Yeah, it is. You just become kind of a regular guy when you get back.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially like Kev, our drummer, has a baby girl, and he's got another kid on the way, and he's got to jump back into dad mode. So there's a lot to it, for sure, for sure. And Tony's such a social creature naturally, and he's great at just being so social, that I think him coming back home and settling back into real life of maybe seeing the same people every day is kind of weighs on him, because he's just so good at like going out and being friends with everybody. Yeah, different. It's a different vibe for sure.
Yeah, tour is but it's special. I think it's so
Mm.
special to be able to go out and do it. Why do you think it's so important today, even though we have all this technology to get bigger on social media and all this shit? It's actually kind of hard with algorithms.
Yeah,
Why do you think tour is still important?
because that's just, there'll never be a substitute for a live show. No matter where technology brings us, even if it comes to a point where it's just all holograms. You're never going to be able to sort of recapture a live room, an energy in the room, right? The spark, the feeling that you have to total strangers when you're all singing the same line. That's always going to be there. That's always going to be there. I mean, look at like EDM music. It's just a dude, playing on a laptop, and it's like people have like out of body experiences there just because of the vibe of the room. It's always going to be there, man. It's been there, since the early days, and getting people together and letting out, that emotion is so important to the human condition. I guess that's what I would say, for sure. Yeah.
Totally.
Love it.
Do you think that it's like as a kid going to shows, you see bands, you think every band is just making a fuck ton of money, right? They're on tour. Oh, they're doing it. Like I remember seeing just bands and like looking up to them. Oh, I want to fucking do that. You don't realize how much goes into it. But do you think that when kids nowadays like hear that we have to work still, and like bands still have like some of the biggest bands in any kind of like genre, unless
Oh yeah.
you're gonna have to work. You have to.
Oh yeah.
Do you think that takes something away from the lure of being in a band at all?
I feel like for our generation, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because now it's like we can go out on the road for a month and still have direct deposit, you hit your bank account while you're on the road. As far as younger kids, I don't think so, man, because they don't really know a world other than the world that we have now, right? And it's like they're already like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like they know the world sucks. They know that we're always working, and that it's going to be a part of our lives, like no matter what. And it's true, man. Big bands, even really big bands, everybody has a day job. You can go and play a 5,000 cap room. But at the end of the day, you're not making that much money, especially when you factor in merch sales that you're giving such a huge chunk of a percentage to a venue or a label or something. Yeah, we were on one of our tours. I think we were in Cleveland, and this kid's mom was doing merch for them. They were young kids, like in high school, and she was like, "Oh, do you have like any advice you can give like for my son or whatever about being a musician? He's going to music school." And I said, "Well, my first bit of advice personally is don't go to music school. Anybody I've ever met that went to music school totally regrets it, except maybe Kev. Kev might be the only person I've ever met. I can't speak for him, but it seems like he really enjoyed his time as a jazz drummer student. But my advice was, get into something that he can do from the road. Whether there's so many different remote opportunities across different industries. I'm in marketing and media, and that's perfect for remote work. Get into video editing, man. There's some great money to be made there because so many of these outlets need good video producers, and you could just do that in a van on the road. Even you want to, make more money, learn to code and start doing software engineering on the road or just freelance copywriting. There's so many different ways to work a day job and work it into the life of a musician. And I feel like when that finally clicked for me, that's when I was like, oh, I can go all in on this, because you straddle that line of like, do I want to be a broke musician or do I want to go into the corporate world and get a real job, And for me, like I come from a background of welfare and food stamps, and I didn't want to continue that pattern. And then once I realized like, oh, I can have a full-time job and still work on the road, like that's when I was like, all right, I'm all in. I'm a band dude. I'm going to be playing music for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be trying to tour. And it took me until like 31 or 32 to come to that realization.
That's heavy. It's good shit. You said your mom has bipolar as well. How was that? Did she support you in music? Like I think we both had very similar mother trauma. We both love our mothers, but we both have like it's tough. It still hurts like even as an adult. But I still look back on my mother and I'm like, there's still moments where she supported me. Like she's like not in my life right now. I don't know where she is. And she spent a lot of time out of my life. But I still think there's that link to music that I could think about her in a positive light. Do you have that at all with your mom?
For sure, man. Yeah, I know you and I have really connected over a lot of that stuff. And the same thing with me. My mother's not in my life right now either. But my mother was always so supportive, dude. So supportive. We were broke. She was a single mother working 3 jobs, and she would still find a way to, like, if I wanted to take a guitar lesson, to get me a guitar lesson. But she's always been so supportive of any endeavor that I wanted to do. She was always really big on, if you want to do it, go do it. When I was like 9 or 10, it was, if you want to do music, go, you can move to Manhattan. Like you can do this, go do it. And, she was so behind it. And, there were times when we first started this band where she would be in a manic episode and, she would just kind of blow up our social media, or she would just show up at a show and kind of do her own thing. But there's so much support there that I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword, because now you get into a situation like you and I are in, and there's so much guilt that comes with that, right? It's like this person's out of your life, and it's for for the best, maybe. Um, but the guilt is there because you think, man, like the support was so strong. And it's like, how many people do you know that don't have that or that never had that growing up when it comes to music? Um, so I'm grateful for that, man. But unfortunately, it sometimes makes things worse, you know? And you just got to kind of deal with it and try to think through it, you know?
Like I've had to like actually, and my uncle taught me this, where it was like you almost have to like have a moment in your head, in your mind. You have to make them die in a way. It sounds morbid, but like you have to mourn. You have to go
Yeah.
through. I mean, I think we could bring it back to the music, where it's like this is kind of why music is so important to me. I think, well, especially if you have trauma like that, like where it's like you're mourning and you're all of the shit that we've gone through. But I think music is one of those things that where it's like kept me together. It's given me a
Yeah.
purpose. When I've been out of a band or not playing music or not doing something creative, I've been never been more depressed in my fucking life.
I know, man. Yeah. You know, for me, I always have to dive headfirst into something else. There was um, a period of 5 years where I didn't play music at all. I didn't even own a guitar or a bass. And I was like, I'm going to be a working guy now. And I would wear a suit to work every day. Um, and wow, I just totally lost my train of thought. Sorry. What were you saying?
No,
Oh,
like
okay, yeah, and I would jump headfirst into other things that would kind of try to fill that void, whether it was art. I used to love illustration, and I would get heavy into that. And you know, oddly enough, sports. Not that I would play, but I would get so deep into a few sports teams that I loved, and I worked in sports for a while. And that almost was like that would fill the void for me. It wasn't rewarding, um, but it would kind of scratch the itch a little bit. But it's not me at the end of the day. And it's funny because I can't do two things at once. I'll never be able to get back into illustration while I'm playing music. My brain doesn't let me do it. And same thing with sports. I mean, I was a huge sports head. I worked for the New York Rangers for 4 seasons. I was part of the front office. I was in the locker room with the team every night. Um, I loved it. But I burnt myself out, man. It's been 10 years, and I think I've watched one hockey game since. Um, so it's weird, man. It doesn't have that same life that music has for us because that's what we are. That's what, the three of us are, just music dudes.
yeah, no, that is so true. It is like it's not just something that you do. I mean, there are people out there who think they think it's cool that if they think they might make money. You're not gonna make fucking money, dude. Maybe
No.
you will. I hope everyone does. That's sick. One of the goals of this show is for people like where do we want to help people? We want to help bands. We want to see Tired Radio just do fucking Tired Radio. We fucking love you guys. We love all these bands. We love music and we love people. There's something special about creatives. There's something special about people who are pursuing their fucking dreams. You know how much we
Yeah.
have to sacrifice doing these
Right.
things? Just like time away. Derek is away from his family right now, like just doing this, pursuing this, just like
Yep.
anything creative that you have to do. There's so much sacrifice. You have to, you on tour, you have a wife, your Emmy is amazing, dude. Like, and shout out
Thank you.
her because she supports that, right? Like, I feel like I've never heard her talk ill of anything that you do or pursue. And that's huge, man.
Yeah, man.
That is huge.
Hmm. Yeah, she's amazing. I'm very lucky. We didn't meet until we were in our 30s, which I think really helps because you kind of already have, you're set in your ways and you kind of know what you want. She's a creative as well. She's an author. She's an amazing writer. She had a book published on Bloomsbury, so she's doing it too. She's doing her own thing. And it really it's really important when you have someone that's not like, oh, stay in bed, skip practice. She's all in, man. Go do your thing. Go tour. Go in the living room, practice for 3 days straight. And
Yeah.
it is.
I'm
It's
sure you
super
admire
important.
though. Like I'm sure you
Oh,
admire
of
the aspect
course.
of her because like I think that's one of the most attractive things in someone is like you could be physically attracted to someone or whatever, but when you admire
Right.
who they are, what they
Yeah.
do, and what they pursue, it just brings it to another level.
Right. And I mean, the passion is there for her with writing. And it's like when she's away at some writing workshop, or she's in the office, like writing and rewriting, all weekend long, it kind of makes me go, I should probably grab my bass and, go through these scales, or, learn something new. Cause yeah, we don't have kids. And that's by design. We both like traveling and, creative endeavors, which is what's great about going on tours. She loves to travel, so she'll come out and hang out for a few days with us. Or we went to Europe 2 summers ago, and she came out and did her own thing. Because we're in different cities, so she'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go chill in Antwerp for a few days, and I'll come meet you here." Funny thing was, we were supposed to go back out to Germany last summer, fell through at the last minute, but her favorite band is Tool. So she was like, "Oh, Tool's playing in Germany, so I'll go." She's like, "I'll go by myself while I'm out there." And I was like, "Yeah, it's cool." And the tour wound up being canceled last minute, and she still had her ticket. So she's like, "I'm gonna go to Germany and see Tool." And I was like, "Hey, hell yeah, go for it!"
That's very
Sick.
my buddy is a same like super Tool fan. He travels all over the place, and he's like, I'm sure she's in the same boat trying to get down to the DR for next year. It's
like
he's like, "Come with me." I'm like, "I'll go," but like it's I like them. I'm not like
sure. I'm not like a fan, but like they're amazing musicians. I'll go see them. Like she took me to see them at MSG at the Garden, and it was great. We get great seats, and it was cool seeing musicians of that caliber. But I'm never really gonna turn on a Tool
Tool
song.
Like, so diehard, every single one of them.
Yeah.
Like they do a 50-date tour, and it's the same people at every show.
Yeah, man, it was actually a cool vibe because you had like a bunch of little kids and their dads there too, and it's like you're watching the next generation kind of come up, getting into music. But yeah, man, I mean, I feel like a month or two ago, she was like freaking out. She's like, "We got to go. There's this cruise, and it's like a Tool tribute band." And I'm like, I'm not going on a cruise to see a Tool tribute band. I'm not going on a cruise ever. Who wants to be on a cruise, with a bunch of strangers and you can't leave? It sounds like my nightmare. But it's certainly not going to go see a fake Maynard James Keenan stand up there, and belt out some tunes. Those Tool fans go hard, man. She's in a Slipknot phase right now. She's really into Slipknot, so she's like, "Let's go see Slipknot." And I'm like, "You know 2 songs, like relax." Like, she's great, man. Yeah.
I've seen Slipknot by accident more times than I could say. Like going to see other bands and like Slipknot was opening or they're headlining, or it's like, all right.
They rule, man. I really don't know much of their stuff anymore, but that first album came out when I was in 8th grade and I was obsessed. I'm wearing a Slipknot shirt in my 10th grade yearbook photo.
That's great. Little change of subject. We threw a thing up for questions on Instagram yesterday. I'm gonna rattle some off.
Please.
I want to see if you could figure out who they are. Also, who's asking these questions? Because some of them,
okay.
Some of them I have no idea what they mean. Well, the first one, obvious. What's your favorite bandana brand?
Who said that one? I'm curious. It's some Amazon brand. I have them. See, it looks like a bandana, but it's a headband. It's a stretchy headband. I don't know the brand name, but they rule, man. I love the headbands. I have too much hair, so I need to kind of keep it out of my face.
All right, what else? Is it hard being the one guy in the band with the looks and the talent?
Who wrote that one? I feel like that's like did Kev write that one? I feel like that's a silly Kev.
And I'll give you one more that will probably give it away. Let's see where to go. I'm going to Whole Foods. Do you want me to pick you up anything?
Yeah, man. Get me some of those beef bones at the deli counter. You make that stuff into some bone broth, put in a crock pot. Ooh. Didn't we, Andy? Didn't we hit up Whole Foods when we were in Glass Lungs at the studio? I think we went there and just
we sure did.
got a whole bunch of stuff. I think somebody made a giant thing of peanut butter out of the machine there.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't remember the people or thing, but yeah.
all the questions are from the same person. I'm not even sure who it is.
It's Kevin.
No, their Instagram handle is Murphy Gray. Murphy Grady.
Bill. Yes, it's our buddy Bill. Yeah, from Brooklyn. Yeah, we got a weird scene out in Brooklyn, but Bill comes out to every show, man. So big ups to Bill, wherever you are. He saved the dude at Fest. He's an EMT, and some dude like smashed his head, I think, stage diving, and Bill to the rescue, man.
That's him. He's got an EMS logo as his Instagram picture. So
there you go.
Way to go.
Thank you for the questions, Bill. That's incredible. You know, there are 3 like were there any more Derek? But I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, there's more. They're all from him.
Are any of them like worth it?
Let's see. He wanted to do a fuck man kill for your band members.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
Ooh, that is a tough one. I'll say marry Chris just because he's very easy to cohabitate with. I like that. Okay. Quiet guy. There's this saying that I love called "Speak only if it improves upon the silence." I think Chris is very good with that. Fuck and kill. Ooh, Kev's got more pushing for the cushion, baby. I'd have to bang Kev. You know, and he's a big dude, so I feel like it would feel good if, you know, we slept like on a futon once. I forgot where we were, and it was freezing. And Kev just like is, you know, all everywhere when he's asleep. He's just like flailing around, and I woke up and he was like spooning me, and it just felt right. He was so warm. So yeah, I feel like getting
are you bottoming for him, or are you top?
I mean, look at the size of me. I'm 5'8", and Kev's a big dude. So take that as you will. I think that's your answer right there.
Fair.
And then kill. I mean, I guess it's Tony. I don't want to kill Tony. But you know, he kind of sounds like he's ready to die with these lyrics. So yeah, no hard feelings, Tone. But Tony. I guess you're the one. Yeah.
The other 2 just made too much sense.
Exactly. Yeah, man. It's true. Yeah. We're destined to I guess marry and fucking kill each other.
That's pretty much it. There's a few. There's one, like, some of them are weird. Like, do you leave your airline luggage tags on all your stuff still?
Bill. Yeah, that's all Bill. Yeah.
Sounds very inside jokey.
And you also need a bill. You need a friend fan bill. You know what? I think that's the coolest thing when you're starting out a band. Another little tip I would say for any band, like if you have like a first that dude that sees your potential and that like comes to every fucking show. First of all, hook them up, pay attention to them, and actually be their friend. Actually, don't be fake about it. Actually care about these people, because that goes a long fucking way. And those are the people that will stick next to you through thick and thin the whole way. And I think that's something that we saw on one of our interviews, right, Derek? That we saw this dude.
Yeah, that was copping up mid-interview to like go give a dude a hug who comes out to see him in New York every time. You know, like that stuff, it means a lot to them. It means a lot to us. I mean, to see it, it's like, okay, you get it. Like you're gonna do something good because you get it. And sometimes
we're
understand, and they don't get that aspect of it. It's like, we're in the band, we're the cool guys, especially the younger guys who are just kind of getting into it. I feel like have that like, oh yeah, like we fucking rule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing, man. It's the thing I hate most about playing music, and especially playing music on Long Island, because on Long Island it was like just totally unchecked. But don't be one of those bands that think you're cooler than the room. Don't, because number one, you're not. And number 2, you're ruining the experience for yourself. You're ruining the experience for the other bands. You're supposed to be, when we get somewhere, we're the first band to jump out of the van and be like, yo, what's up? How are you? We'll listen to the band on the way there. Yo, that song, awesome, dude. And it's not fake, it's just, it's what you should be doing if you're going to go out there on the road. And that really, we have a lot of like good friends that we've just met, the last 2 years, that just vibe well, and Tony and Kev are just such charismatic, outgoing people that, we've made just a lot of friends that are fans, come up and talk to us. We want to talk to you. I feel like a lot of the friends in my life, both in the music scene and in my own personal life, have been people that just kind of were there. Like they just showed up and, really I didn't have a say in it. And, I was just like, all right, we're friends now.
Yep.
I think Bill is a good example of that. Bill just kind of kept showing up to our shows and talking to me. And I was like, oh, all right, I guess we're friends now.
Sick.
So yeah, man, that's one of the perks. It's a great thing.
I will say
a lot of great people.
I'll break the fourth wall because I'm not in a touring band anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say if you have this. I'm sure every band does. You have this openness. I think every band should, and a lot of bands that do well have this mentality of come to me, come to the merge table until they get huge, of course. Then you can be like, whatever. But then you're a cool guy, whatever. But I remember there being some stage 5 clingers, or maybe do you ever watch What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes, I just started it like 2 weeks ago, and I'm obsessed with it.
Colin Robinson is an energy vampire.
Yes,
and they just talk to you, and like, dude, I'm sure we've all had this, where like you have these fans, they come up to you and they just talk, and you're just like, you feel your energy sucking out your body, but like you still have to be nice. But I remember the way we dealt with it is just like you're like nice, you kind of try to deal with it, and then you get to the van and then you talk shit.
No, I can't say, we've been lucky that it's like, it comes from such a real place. Talking to these people and making friends. I mean, that really is Tony's heart and soul. That's Tony, man. He's such a great dude, and he loves meeting people. And, I met Tony when we were like 14. And he's just a cool dude. And when he talks to you, you kind of feel like you're the only one in the world, because he just puts all his energy into you. And I think it's a Maya Angelou quote that's like, you remember people for how they make you feel. And Tony's a living representation of that. You would bump into him somewhere and boom, his attention's like on you, and he's such a great, fun, cool guy that like it's like you want to be around him because you feel like it'll rub off on you. You're like, man, will I get some of that coolness? But yeah, it comes from a real place when we're like, hey, come hang out at the table. I'll say that like I've got enough energy vampires in my life, in other aspects of my life, that I don't really see it. I'm lucky enough that I don't see it in the music part of my life. But yeah, when I'm in that situation, I mean, you can read it on my face, dude. I'm just a tired dude all the time, and I like to feel like I'm not. I'm kind of more of a lovable curmudgeon than an asshole. I don't think I'm an asshole, but yeah, those energy vampires hit hard. But at the end of the day, it's like, it's just so cool that people want to talk to you, man. Like I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm at a show. And it's like people like your stuff so much that they're like, hey, I just want a moment. Especially a compliment. Anytime somebody compliments me, it's just like, dude, thank you so much. Like it's amazing. Like to even like have, to be like, oh, I'm going to go over there and say something nice. Like who does? No, people don't usually do that. Like, yeah, man, I'm super grateful for all of it.
You guys are nicer than my touring band was back in the day, because like we would care. We do care about people. I care about people fucking immensely, for real. But there are those moments where you have to just like, you have to be like, dude, I just almost like died. Like my soul was gone. Like it was like this close to, if I didn't say I had to take a shit or something.
No,
yeah.
It can.
I will.
But
there was one time where I remember one time in particular, and again, I could be grumpy and have a bad day and get in my own head. But I remember one instance in particular where it was like that for one person, and I went back to Tony, and I was just like, man, that was That was rough, dude. And that's, that thing I said to you earlier where Tony was like, everybody's hurting, man. That's where it came from. We lit up a cigarette and he's just like, dude, everybody's hurting. And I was just like, fuck, you're right, man. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, who am I to really, say anything, in bad taste and poor taste. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I haven't met too many energy vampires in music. So let's hope it stays that way. Colvin Robinson. I love that show.
Derek, you were about to say a story.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, like, it's one of those things where like you feel that way in the moment, but at the same time you like understand what it means to that person and like the appreciation. But like sometimes you're just tired and it's like you entertain. Like I was always, if I felt that way, I'd entertain. I'd talk to you for too long, but you're kind of like every time you go to a show and that person's there again, you're like, okay, here we go. You're gonna prepare. But like you do appreciate it because they're at every fucking show. They're buying all your shit. Like they're telling other people about you. So like you do have to understand the appreciation part of those interactions of like,
for sure, man. And it's like we've been in situations like that where it's like, well, not totally like that because people haven't been too bad, but it's like we still invite them to hang out afterwards because that love and appreciation is there just to kind of really tell us how you feel and to show up for it. Like that's insane, man. Like nobody does that. Like that's such a sweet thing. And yeah, there's just like even if someone's a little frustrating to you, it's just like, all right, come hang out afterwards. Like we'll go to a bar in the neighborhood. That's happened tons of times. And then it's like, you really do become closer with these people, or anytime you're in their city, they come out again. And that kind of builds the relationship even more. Yeah, I actually really like it now that I think about it. Yeah.
I think a lot of it, like those kind of people it's kind of awkward for the musician because they look up to you so much that they're almost awkward about it, and like they hold you on such high ground that like you're like,
yeah,
I'm just like regular. Like we could
and I mean,
have to look at me like this, like we could be friends and like hang out like regular people. I'm not that, like, I'm not the guy on stage all the time unless I'm on stage. Like,
and it makes me think too, like how many times have I been that guy? So it's like, I shouldn't be saying anything, because I've been that guy too. I've been in that position, or it's like sometimes you even walk away and you're like, why did I say that? So yeah. So what do I know? Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's really interesting to be on this side of like, for instance, if Tired Radio tomorrow got to the point just like you guys blew up and you didn't need, like, you had all of your expenses paid for, you were making a lot of fucking money personally. I wonder how that would actually change you in that way. Like, I wonder, would you stop being that way? In all reality, I try to think of that, like, because I do think of myself as a good person, but I think also I have the ability to be a fucking cunt. And I think
Sure.
I could, and I think maybe that's, if we're real, would we change if because you're working, part of that is work. Like, I know it does, you don't want to say it, but part of the hangouts is part of work being
Oh, yeah.
a man.
Right.
You need to do that. And when you actually get to the point of all of this work, maybe those people will stay in that inner circle, but I think there's a point at which it closes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've never been a huge, massive, like, band, but I could only guess that you could only tolerate if so many people are just like, I could imagine, like, first of all, you don't need to be at the merch table unless you want to. Maybe you want to. I can imagine
a lot of that time is cut out, right? Like if you're in you have green rooms, you have a bus, like you kind of have a little bit more of an escape.
More comfort.
Like you play, you come out, hang out for like an hour, and then you're like, peace out. Like there's at least an escape and an end to certain situations. And like, I would imagine most bands, like some guys hang out the whole show, You know, like they will be at the merch table because they enjoy it thoroughly,
Mhm.
and they'll put their time in, and it's the enjoyment part, not just the work, networking, showing your face, smiling and waving kind of thing. When you get to that level of, because everybody's that, wow, this is a superstar artist, right? Like untouchable. You know, there's so many more of those people when you get to that stature. I would
Sure.
imagine never been there, but
I'm gonna be honest with both of you right now, and then maybe you guys could be honest with me. I want to start this honesty circle. We're gonna do a circle
Mhm.
or a triangle, maybe like that. Yeah.
How about a safe space pyramid?
Yes. But I think I would I think it would change me. Like not necessarily I think that I would have my days where I'm more personable and I would still reach out to people because I genuinely care about people, but I
Mhm.
also love my alone time. And there are times on tour where I just fucking crave being alone because it's so hard being alone
Oh yeah.
with your bandmates. And I can imagine the bigger your band is, you have more people around you. You have more. You're on a tour bus filled with people. You have people setting up your shit. So I can imagine it's like you actually. I think it would change me in the way that like I just would fuck off, find some kind of video game to play or something like that.
That's
shelter.
me, man. That's totally me. I mean, I crave my alone time so much, and that's why my wife. Another reason why my wife is so amazing is she gives me so much space to have my alone time. The guys will tell you if anybody needs their alone time, it out of the band, it's me. Um, they all go to sleep. I am up till maybe 2 or 3 in the morning, not doing anything other than listening to podcasts, maybe smoking outside. And that's my routine at home too, man. I gotta get to a point where the rest of the it feels like the rest of the world is asleep before I can get to bed. I need to get to a point where I know nobody needs anything from me. I don't need anywhere to be. There's nothing I need to do. And I just need that solitude. That's so important for me. There's actually my nickname in the band. You know, I told you Chris is Baby Gramps. I'm the van troll because all I do when I get overwhelmed, which is a lot, is go chill in the van by myself. Maybe go smoke in the van, go take a nap in the van. I am the van troll. That's the name that's been bestowed upon me by Kev, I think, and it's appropriate. um
Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's like, and like you said, I think that it closes when, you know, the trickle becomes more of you know, running waterfall, right? Because you get to that level, everybody kind of wants to talk to you, whereas like right now it's just, you know, a few people want to come hang, and that's, you know, it's nothing too overwhelming. And you know, I when you say you think it would change you, Andy, the one thing I think that kind of prevents that is gratitude. And you're I think next to me, you're the most kind of you appreciate things in life more than other people, and you're very vocal about it. And I think if you have that as being an anchor, um, it kind of keeps you from changing into something kind of shitty. Um,
That's very
you
true.
know, I I don't know, man. I just have this gratitude for everything in my life, to the point where it gets overwhelming. Um, you know, if it's late at night, I'll tear up sometimes because I'm just like, how the fuck did I get here? You know, it's like, you know, coming from Long Island and just be like, I feel like our paths were fucking union guys, which is obviously a great career, nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I'm like, how did I end up here? Um, and to have so much, and it's super overwhelming. And I think a lot of that kind of falls into how we feel about having the chance to play music and meet people and go out on the road. And I know, you know, anytime you do something in music, I know you feel that gratitude, man. You're one of the most vocal people I know about just good vibes and loving life. And you're not afraid to talk about it, you know, which I feel like is super rare. Um, so yeah, man, I think gratitude kind of keeps your feet on the ground, you know, if once you get bigger into those bigger situations. I don't know, I'm not there yet. I don't know if we are going to get there, hopefully. But that's
No,
kind of how I see it, you know.
No, one, I appreciate the kind words, and I do feel super, super grateful. I just like
Yeah.
I'm filled with like love.
Mhm.
Like I get Derek sees me get emotional pretty often because I'm a little
Oh
bitch.
yeah,
But
I've
um,
seen it.
I'm
Sure.
super grateful for you guys and for my friends and for anyone who's just like impactful in my life. So,
Yeah.
but I think that circumstance, not necessarily. I don't think it would change me. I think it would change my behavior from like it would change my behavior from being that person to like, hey, come here, because sometimes you don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
You know, you have to, hey, hi, let's go. Like, you like my band, I like you. Then it
Mhm.
changes you. I think it would change me from like that. It would take away that job in a way because
Mhm.
sometimes it's a job.
Yeah, I mean that's goes to managing your mental health on the road is you need to know what your bandwidth is, and you need to know when you need to take a step back, dude. I mean, interacting with people is tough. My social battery drains so quickly. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a huge part of it. I think my favorite people to talk to when I'm out are like people that work at the venue, load-in guys, bartenders, sound guys. They always have great stories or they're just mad cool. Um, and that's always something I appreciate. And I think people, these places we play, like a lot of people love Tired Radio. They think we're just good dudes because like we just want everybody to feel good and we appreciate them. If we play a good set somewhere, I'll tip the sound guy. We'll have our drink tickets and we'll be the only band tipping the bartenders with the drink tickets. So because we've been in those roles ourselves, and we want to take care of people. We want to help foster a scene, even if it's not our scene. I think that's super important.
Derek, what about you? Would you be a
What
diva though? I feel like Derek would just be absolute.
With a beard like that, man, how could you not? I mean, it's so beautiful and strong.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be overwhelming. Like on the out of the jump, right? Like right away, it'd be like, what the fuck is happening? You can't, if you got to the point where you couldn't go out at a show and just like walk to the bar or like just walk around without like 30 people surrounding you. I, I don't know if I'd be into that, but I do enjoy talking to as many people as possible. But I do, especially now, like I'm a little older, I do the same kind of idea, Jay, like talking to the bartenders,
Mhm.
talking to the guys who've been doing it as long or longer than me, and to like see and get like perspective of like what's this compared to what it used to be, or like are you still into it the same? And because it's different. I feel different when I go to shows now than when I did 10 years ago, 20
Oh
years ago.
yeah, God yeah.
Like, it's just a totally different outlook. Like first being a professional in it and doing it on that side, opposed to like being a fan when you were just starting out and like playing shows because you just like to be at shows and it's like
Mhm.
it's a free ticket if you play. um like that's where I now, and that's like why doing this is like so fun, just getting everyone's different outlook and perspective of like where do you think this is all going, because
Mhm.
I feel like we're in a rebuilding stage in general, like with venues and crowds are like more abundant now. I feel like the shows we've been to, Andy,
Mhm,
like you see kids coming before the first band starts and staying the entire show.
mhm.
Whereas like 10 years ago, I was like, you just go to see your friend's band and then you're out.
Yeah.
Like you even give people a chance. I feel like now everybody's so open. There's so many genre crosses in live shows now, and people are into it. Like you can play a hardcore show as a metal band, and people like it. Like you're not getting those like the snobby hardcore crews that are like, oh, you don't do
Yeah.
this, and like we're fucking out of here, or they try to kick your ass or something.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's very specific to that time that we grew up
Yeah,
for sure.
it's
Those
like
like Boston beatdown crews and stuff.
like
That's
that
very
was
funny.
we'd play shows at the Elks Club, and there'd be guys with like faces and chains, and like it's like, what are you guys doing? Like,
So crazy.
you're having a good time, and people are just getting smashed in the head with like a piece of metal. It's like, okay, cool.
That's the thing too, man, is like if you're in a band, don't leave after you play, man. Like that's the best, that's the quickest way to kill a scene. Don't do that to your scene, don't do that to your other band. If you guys gotta leave, like at least have somebody there, like, repping you guys, whether it's one or two dudes. But like that's a killer, man. We'll tour, and there'll be some bands that do that, and it's like, come on, bro. Like you can't stick around for your own scene. And again, a lot of it is younger kids, kids in their 20s, that just have that like cool guy in the room energy. That does no good for anybody.
No.
I think that's a big pet peeve of mine for sure. Yeah.
I hate leaving. If I'm playing a show, especially if it's not like a packed show, I hate, like, if I have to go, it feels bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want to fucking support, but that is life sometimes. And then you always have the people in the band that's just like jet immediately. But Derek is right though. I think there's the vibe is so healthy right now. It feels positive. The overall vibe at these shows that we've been doing our show at, it's been super. It reminds me of when we were freaking young again. Like I feel like maybe there was like a big reset during the pandemic. And
yeah, you might be right, man. You might have something there. I mean, that show in Jersey where we were all together was such a great night, man. All the bands down the line were just so sweet.
Incredible.
Yeah, man. And that's the thing too about this band and these scenes we've played in is like I've been playing for like 18 years, especially in the New York and Long Island area, and I'm jaded as fuck, dude. Like I barely even listen to music anymore, and it takes a lot for me to kind of get into a band.
Why is that? I've been wrestling with that too, Jay. Like that disillusionment, like that feeling of like the things that brought you joy when you were younger are just kind of like meh now. Like I miss when certain things got me excited, or like I miss that feeling of walking into a show and that wonderment that I would look at a stage. Like I would just be shocked at a fucking stage or a drum set. I miss that newness, and it'll never come back. It'll never.
I know. Yeah, it's true, man. It's true. I think the thing that really kind of shook me out of, I'm still jaded, but the thing that kind of made me feel better was, these so many bands that we've played with, even like when we first were coming out in Brooklyn, they were just so sweet, such good people. And, being from New York, especially me, I think I'd take a little longer than the other guys. I'm like, what does this guy want? Like, what is this person up to? And especially like when you're in a scene where like people take advantage of other people, it's normal to feel that way. But I mean, so many bands, even like bigger bands, like we've become really tight with Make War, who are on Fat Records, and just the sweetest dudes, the sweetest dudes you can think of. And we played a show like 2 weeks ago with like a side project of some of the dudes from Modern Baseball and the Menzingers. And just the sweetest, nicest guys. And that's really kind of lit a fire under my butt. Just because you're so used to, people that are just normal or people that are a little standoffish. And for me, that really helped kind of break through that jaded blanket that I'm kind of always under.
Yeah.
To kind of piggyback off what you were saying, Andy, I think you just feel different when you're younger. For me too, it's just I don't listen to music anymore as much as I used to, and when I do, it's a lot of it's like pop music, a lot of radio stuff, a lot of R&B and rap, and I think it's because we got to where we are, all of us, being so invested, right, in these songs and feeling so much from these songs and these genres that we loved. That I can't do it anymore. There are chapters in my life that are closed or that I don't want to be reminded of, right? So like Alkaline Trio was a band I loved, in high school. And I remember going through some stuff, with that as my soundtrack. And it's like, I can't listen to those guys anymore. It's just so different, and for me, it's like, because I grew up listening to punk and emo and always feeling like such a connection with this music. By default, even if I listen to something else, I take in that vibe and I get sad. My default is a bummer kind of feeling when I listen to any sort of guitar music that has that like pensive vibe to it or something, you know. For me, I like radio pop music. Um, Even if it's, you know, some of it's disposable, but I like it because the mood, the vibe is always some sort of fun thing, some sort of better feeling. And it snaps me into that. You know, I like that vibe I get when I listen to some like hot hip hop song. You know, it's just the beat makes me feel different, and I don't kind of revert back to that emotional state that I get into when I listen to rock music. Just I guess because of my history. And that kind of just keeps those intrusive thoughts out, right? Because you're not open to feeling kind of bummed out or relating to the lyrics of something sad. And I think that's why I've leaned so much into like 90% of what I listen to is like podcasts or like YouTube live streams, that when I work and when I fall asleep too. And maybe that's because I hate being with my own thoughts. And I need it to just constantly be drowned out. But yeah, but I think that's sort of the evolution that maybe you were kind of alluding to as you get older, where like music isn't the same anymore, which sucks because I see Tony, who still has this amazing relationship with music, like he's always had since we were kids, where he's just constantly finding out new bands and just constantly binging stuff. And I'm like, my Spotify Wrapped was all tired. Literally everything was Tired Radio and Doja Cat, you know? So it's like, I need to kind of box myself in this own little safe world when it comes to music.
It's kind of funny that you say that, like the reason why you don't is for that, to stay away from that, like the memory, old emotion. Like I'm kind of the opposite. Like I listen to rap and pop and stuff now, but like I purposely go back and listen to that stuff to feel the nostalgic, almost not sad, but like it brings that emotion, because I'm a pretty like even keel always. So like for me,
you're normal. Yeah.
No, it's like enjoyable to go back and kind of it, you know, I will go listen to, you know, go way back at like a Dashboard Confessional and like, or those kind of bands, and like tear up sometimes, you know,
Sure.
like, but almost purposely do it. So
yeah, like, and I feel like I was in a spot like that at one point, but now I'm just kind of stuck there, maybe. But I always love like a group sing along, man. Like you get in a car with everybody, especially like when we're on tour. You know, we'll throw something on and all sing along to it. Then it's like, because it's a vibe. You know, it's a different vibe when you're with everybody, and it's more joyful for sure. Yeah.
Derek, you struck a chord with me just now. Like there's like one album in particular that I put on usually sometime deep in the winter or in the fall. It's when it gets darker earlier.
Oh yeah. What is it? I'm curious.
It's The Moon Is Down by Further Seems Forever.
Oh God. That's one of Tony's favorite albums. We got to see them at Fest. They played at Fest this year.
Wow.
Oh, that is a banger of an album for sure. Yeah.
And Chris is still the singer, right? Chris Graba?
No, they had Jason came back and sang.
Jason, I thought he's dead. Or no, this is second. Jason is the second.
I don't know. I think he's the second guy. I think they had three. I don't even really know.
They had three. I know one of them.
But yeah, nothing hit like that first album, man. You know?
No.
With Chris
and
Graba.
It brings me back to that time where I was like young and in love with like everyone, like
right. Yeah.
Me attention, you know,
same.
like
anybody who showed you attention, you were just like, oh yeah.
Smitten. And before I was jaded and hardened. But there are three major takeaways from this episode, I think. One, find a partner that will support you and be patient.
Yes.
And
oh yeah.
Two, in a band, you need your Chris. You need someone who could take some shit, because the boys or girls, we all need a punching bag. If you need a punching bag a little bit. And then 3, playing bass with your fingers leads to relational happiness. And and I think that people need to take that to heart and learn how to play bass with their fingers. I will. I'm going to try it. See how
I don't know,
happy.
man, because you get calluses. I don't know how good calluses are. Nobody wants to feel like they're rubbing up against, rug
Calluses
burn.
and tunnel.
Exactly. I'm fucked, man. Calluses, carpal tunnel, bipolar. Jesus Christ.
That could be the name of your next album. Calluses.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jesus.
Dude, I know, it's insane, but I think it's also maybe like pickling you. Maybe the energy of the van is keeping you preserved in a way. Maybe you would be way more broken up if you were not doing this.
I mean, that's where my alone time is, man. So without recharging, I would certainly be a lot worse. So the van time is crucial for your boy.
Yeah. Jay, is there anything that you want to promote before we part ways today?
Check us out, man. Tired Radio on Instagram, tired_radio. We released an EP about a year ago called Lousy Thanks. Check that out on Spotify, all streaming platforms. And check out some videos from Fest on our YouTube. We had a blast there. We are looking at releasing our second full length, hopefully early next year. Talking with a label right now, so hopefully that goes well. Yeah, man. Be good to yourself. Be good to your friends. Be good to your bandmates. That's all I can say.
Yes, you said it. You said it perfectly, Jay, and you are amazing. You mean the world to me, man. I mean that. You mean so much to me. Thank you for your generosity with your time and for being such a sweet motherfucking man. Thank you. I love you.
You're the best.
Thanks, you, man. I love you guys. I'm always here to help and support. I want to see you guys succeed, and you guys are great, man. I love the podcast. So,
thank you.
All love to you.
Let's keep this positivity going, and let's keep building this this whole group. We're gonna build a network of love. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Build the love. Jay St. Angelo from Tired Radio. Everyone, check them out. Jay is amazing. This band is amazing. Thank you so much, Jay. Thank you. I love
Jay,
you.
hang just for like 10, 15 seconds after we end. All right.
Sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
Jay was a fantastic guest. I really appreciate him. I wanted to show everyone this Christmas card. For those of you who are just listening, it's a card of animals, cute dogs and cats that they have, and they're so sweet. And look at it it'll be on YouTube. Look at this. Look at it. Christmas card of the year. Christmas card of the year. We have some cool things coming up. We have 2 really great guests. We have Dan Lamelli from Incendiary, the drummer from Incendiary. They're crushing it. And we have the lead singer, the vocalist for Fit for an Autopsy, Joe Bad. And that's going to be a banger. We have those 2 coming up, and we have more to come. And please save, do whatever you got to do. Share with your mom, your dad, your dog, your grandma. Share and support. Thank you. We love you. Tour Buds out.
Peace.
Peace.